Why does my family go silent every time someone mentions the summer of 1999? I'm staring at the yellowed newspaper clipping in my trembling hands, dated August 15, 1999. The headline reads, "Local teen dies in hit and run, driver still at large." Below it, a school photo of Sarah Chin smiles back at me, 17 years old, honor roll student, planned to study engineering at Berkeley. She never made it to her 18th birthday. 20 minutes ago, I was just looking for Christmas decorations in Grandma's attic. Now I'm sitting cross-legged on the dusty floor, surrounded by a shoebox full of secrets that explains everything. Police reports. Insurance documents. And tucked beneath it all, a handwritten note in my father's careful script, Michael's car, repairs completed August 16, 99. Total, $4,847. Front bumper, headlight, windshield. No records. Michael. My golden child brother who was 19 that summer. The brother who got a full scholarship to Stanford, who's marrying the daughter of our town's mayor in 3 weeks, who's never done anything wrong in his entire perfect life. Except kill a girl and let my family cover it up. Suddenly, every awkward silence makes sense. Every time someone mentions the summer of 99, usually innocently, talking about Y2K fears or that solar eclipse, the room goes dead. Mom starts aggressively reorganizing whatever's in front of her. Dad develops a sudden interest in his shoes. Uncle Rick changes the subject so fast you'd think someone mentioned Fight Club. And Michael? Michael just gets this blank, distant look, like he's somewhere else entirely. I thought I was imagining it. Growing up, I figured it was some boring adult drama, maybe dad lost money in the stock market, or someone had an affair. Normal family dysfunction. I never imagined this. The police report is thorough. Sarah Chen was walking home from her job at the movie theater around 11:30 p.m. on August 14. She was struck on Maple Road, just past the bridge where it curves toward downtown. The impact threw her 30 feet. The driver fled the scene. No witnesses. The case went cold after 6 months. I flipped through more documents. There's a receipt from Murphy's Auto Shop, the one that closed down in 2003, for emergency repairs on a 1997 blue Honda Civic. Michael's car. The same car he claimed got damaged when a tree branch fell during that storm in late August. The storm that happened 2 weeks after Sarah died. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely read the insurance claim. Weather-related damage, it says. Falling debris during severe thunderstorm. The payout was $4,847, exactly matching the auto shop receipt. I remember that car. Michael drove it all through high school and college until he finally upgraded senior year. I learned to drive in that Honda. How many times did I sit in the passenger seat, completely oblivious that I was in a vehicle that killed someone? How many family road trips did we take in Sarah's tomb? The worst part is the photo I find at the very bottom of the box. It's Michael and his friends at some party, date stamped August 20th, 1999, 6 days after Sarah died. He's grinning at the camera, red cup in hand, arm around his girlfriend. He looks completely normal. Happy, even. While somewhere across town, the Chen family was planning their daughter's funeral. I hear footsteps on the attic stairs. "Honey, did you find those decorations?" Mom's voice drifts up. Still looking, I call back, my voice surprisingly steady. But I'm not looking for decorations anymore. I'm looking at my phone, at Michael's contact info, at the wedding invitation magnet to Grandma's old filing cabinet. 3 weeks until the wedding. 3 weeks to decide what to do with the truth. I wait until I hear Mom's footsteps retreat downstairs before I pull out my phone and search Sarah Chin hit and run 1999. My fingers fumble on the screen as dozens of results pop up. Local news archives, forum posts, even a Facebook memorial page that's still active. The memorial page destroys me. Sarah's mother, Linda Chin, posts there every year on August 14th. The same message, word for word, 23 years today. "We still love you. We still miss you. We're still waiting for answers." 23 years of waiting for answers that are sitting in a shoebox 2 miles away from her house. I scroll through the comments. Friends from high school sharing memories. Her younger sister posting photos of her own kids, talking about the aunt they'll never meet. A retired detective named Frank Morrison who worked the case, still checking in every few years, the file remains open. If anyone has information, no matter how small, please contact me. Detective Morrison. I screenshot his contact information before I can talk myself out of it. But then I find something that makes my blood freeze. A post from just 3 months ago by Sarah's father, Robert Chen, had to say goodbye to Linda today. Cancer finally won. She died still believing someday we'd get justice for Sarah. Please don't let this case be forgotten. Sarah's mother died this spring. She spent over 2 decades hoping for closure that never came, and now she's gone. The guilt hits me like a physical blow. My family's silence didn't just protect Michael, it tortured innocent people. I hear voices downstairs. Michael's laugh carries up through the floorboards, and my stomach lurches. He must have stopped by for dinner. He does that most Sundays, the devoted son coming home to visit family. Everyone always comments on what a good boy he is, how lucky mom and dad are to have such a thoughtful son. I carefully repack the shoebox, but I slip the newspaper clipping and the auto shop receipt into my jacket pocket. Evidence. I need to think about this somewhere else, away from this house full of lies. Downstairs, the scene is disgustingly normal. Michael's in the kitchen helping mom set the table while dad carves a roast. They're discussing the wedding, final head count, seating arrangements, whether the weather will cooperate. Michael's fiancée Emma is there too, showing mom photos of centerpieces on her phone. "There's our missing person," dad says when he sees me. "Find what you were looking for." "Just Christmas stuff," I lie, patting my jacket pocket. "Grandma's got a lot of old boxes up there." Michael glances up from folding napkins. For just a second, something flickers across his face, wariness, maybe. But it's gone so fast I might have imagined it. "You look pale, sweetheart," mom says, pressing her hand to my forehead. "Are you feeling all right?" "Fine, I manage." Just dusty up there. Emma launches into a story about flower delivery drama while I sit there pushing food around my plate, watching my brother laugh and joke like he doesn't have a care in the world. He's discussing the guest list, mentioning how nice it'll be to have the whole family together. How this will be the wedding of the century. How nothing could ruin his perfect day. The receipt in my pocket feels like it's burning against my ribs. So, Emma says brightly, we finalized the reception playlist. Michael insisted on some throwback songs from when he was in high school. Really nostalgic stuff from 98 and 99. The table goes completely silent. It lasts exactly 3 seconds before Dad asks Emma about her dress, but I catch it. That familiar, terrible quiet that's haunted my family my entire life. Now I finally understand why. That night, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about Linda Chen posting those memorial messages year after year, never knowing how close the answers were. I grab my laptop and start digging deeper into the case, following every thread I can find. What I discover makes everything so much worse. The original investigation was more thorough than I expected. Police had narrowed down the vehicle type based on paint chips and debris at the scene, a blue or dark green Honda Civic, model years 1996 to 1999. They'd even visited local auto shops asking about suspicious repairs in the weeks following the accident. But Murphy's auto shop wasn't on their list. I find the old yellow pages online and cross-reference it with the police report. Murphy's was tiny, tucked away in an industrial district across town. The kind of place you'd only know about if someone specifically recommended it. The kind of place where maybe questions wouldn't be asked. My stomach drops as I realize the implication. This wasn't just a panicked cover-up by a scared teenager. Someone planned this. Someone knew exactly where to take that car to avoid detection. I'm still staring at my laptop screen when my phone buzzes. A text from Michael, hey, saw you seemed off at dinner. Everything okay? Want to grab coffee tomorrow morning? My heart pounds. Michael never texts me out of the blue. We're not close, he's 6 years older and was already in college when I hit my teens. Our relationship is mostly polite small talk at family gatherings. This sudden concern feels pointed. I type back, just tired. Lots of studying. His response comes immediately, cool. By the way, Mom mentioned you were up in Grandma's attic today. Find anything interesting in all those old boxes? There it is. He's fishing. Just Christmas decorations, I reply, echoing my earlier lie. Yeah, Grandma saves everything. Probably boxes up there from when I was in high school. Ancient history, right? Ancient history. The phrase feels loaded, like a warning. I don't respond, but 20 minutes later another text appears, we should clean out that attic sometime. No point keeping old junk around. Some things are better off forgotten. My hands are literally trembling as I screenshot the conversation. Is he threatening me? Or am I paranoid? The Michael I grew up with wouldn't hurt a fly, he's the one who rescued spiders instead of squashing them, who cried when our dog died. But then again, the Michael I grew up with also wasn't supposed to be a hit-and-run killer. I spend the next 3 hours falling down internet rabbit holes about the case. Sarah Chen was a straight-A student volunteering at a literacy program while working part-time to save for college. She was walking home from closing shift at the Regal Cinema, a route she'd taken dozens of times before. The night she died was clear and dry. Perfect visibility. The impact analysis suggests the driver was going at least 45 miles per hour on a residential street where the speed limit was 25. This wasn't some unavoidable accident. This was reckless driving that turned fatal. But what really breaks me is finding Sarah's own social media from before she died. Her last post, from August 13, 1999, is a grainy photo of movie tickets with the caption, one more closing shift and I'm officially on vacation. Can't wait to sleep in tomorrow sleeping face. She was looking forward to sleeping in on August 14th. Instead, she died that night. I screenshot everything and create a folder on my laptop called Sarah. By 3 a.m., I have dozens of articles, forum posts, and memorial tributes saved. I even find her Berkeley acceptance letter, posted by her sister on the 10-year anniversary. Full scholarship. Pre-engineering program. She should have been changing the world by now. Instead, she's been dead for 23 years while my brother got to live his perfect life. The wedding invitation is sitting on my desk, cream-colored cardstock with gold embossing. Michael Christopher Hamilton and Emma Rose Patterson request the pleasure of your company. 3 weeks away. St. Mary's Cathedral, reception at the country club. 200 guests including Mayor Patterson, half the town council, Michael's Stanford classmates, and every extended family member we have. I think about Detective Morrison's contact information, still saved in my phone. I think about Sarah's father, grieving alone now. I think about my brother's text messages and that terrible silence at dinner. Then I make a decision that terrifies me. I'm going to that wedding. But first, I need to understand exactly what my family did, and who else was involved. Tomorrow, I'm driving to Murphy's auto shop. Even if it's closed, maybe the building is still there. Maybe someone remembers something. Maybe it's time to stop being complicit in my family's lie. The Murphy's auto shop building is still there, squatting like a concrete tumor between a tire shop and a defunct mattress store. The windows are boarded up, but I can still make out the faded Murphy's painted on the side in chipped blue letters. I sit in my car across the street for 20 minutes, working up the courage to actually do something. A knock on my passenger window nearly gives me a heart attack. An older man in coveralls peers at me through the glass, and after a moment of panic, I roll it down. You looking for something, miss? He asks. He's got kind eyes and grease-stained hands. I was wondering about the old auto shop, I say, nodding toward Murphy's. Did you know the owner? Tommy Murphy. Sure did. Worked next door for 30 years before I retired. Tommy passed about 5 years back. He studies me curiously. You related to him or something? My heart pounds. Actually, I'm looking into some work he might have done in 1999. On a blue Honda Civic. It would have been emergency repairs, probably late night or early morning. The man's expression shifts, becomes guarded. That's pretty specific. You insurance or something? No, I take a breath. I think that car was involved in a hit and run. The Sarah Chin case, if you remember it. His whole demeanor changes. He looks around nervously, then motions for me to roll up the window and get out of the car. We shouldn't talk about this here, he says quietly. There's a diner 2 blocks down. Meet me there in 10 minutes. And miss, don't mention my name to anyone. The diner is one of those 24-hour places that smell like coffee and existential dread. The man, he introduces himself only as Pete, slides into the booth across from me and orders black coffee with shaking hands. I've been wondering when someone would come asking about that night, he says. 23 years is a long time to carry something like this. My mouth goes dry. You remember the car? I remember everything about that night. Tommy got a call around 2 a.m. Someone needed emergency work, cash only, no questions asked. I was doing late inventory next door and saw the whole thing. He describes watching a blue Honda Civic pull into Murphy's Bay around 2:30 a.m. The front end was smashed, headlight gone, bumper hanging off, windshield spider-webbed. But what he remembers most clearly is who brought it in. Wasn't some kid, Pete says, stirring his coffee obsessively. Was a grown man, maybe 45, 50 years old. Well-dressed even at that hour. Handed Tommy a roll of cash and said the work needed to be done by morning, no paperwork. My dad was 47 in 1999. Did you recognize him? I ask, though I already know the answer. Small town, honey. I recognized him fine. Just never thought I'd see Dr. Hamilton doing business with Tommy Murphy at 2 a.m. Pete meets my eyes. You're his daughter, aren't you? You got the same nose. The world tilts sideways. Dad wasn't just complicit in covering up Michael's crime, he orchestrated it. While Sarah Chin was dying in the hospital or already dead, my father was arranging to hide the evidence. There's more, Pete continues, his voice barely above a whisper. Your dad wasn't alone. Had another man with him, older guy. They stayed while Tommy worked, making phone calls on one of those early cell phones. I heard bits and pieces. Something about handling the insurance and keeping the story straight. Did you hear names? The older guy, your dad called him Frank a couple times. Uncle Frank. Dad's older brother, the one who worked in insurance before he retired. Another piece clicks into place. Why didn't you ever tell anyone? I ask. Pete stares into his coffee cup like it holds answers. Tommy was scared. Said the men made it clear what would happen if he talked. And honestly, I was scared too. These were important people in town. I was just a mechanic. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a folded piece of paper. But I kept this, just in case someday I grew a backbone. It's a receipt, handwritten in Tommy Murphy's distinctive scrawl. Date, August 15th, 99. Time, 2:45 a.m. Vehicle, blue Honda Civic. Work, front-end collision repair. Amount, $4,847. And at the bottom, a license plate number. Michael's license plate number. Tommy gave me this to hold on to, Pete says. Said if anything ever happened to him, I should make sure the truth came out. But Tommy died peaceful in his sleep, and I just kept putting it off. I stare at the receipt with shaking hands. This is it. This is proof that my father and uncle orchestrated a cover-up within hours of Sarah Chen's death. While her family was getting the worst phone call of their lives, my family was already working to protect Michael from consequences. There's something else, Pete says reluctantly. I followed the story in the papers afterward. When the police were asking around about damaged vehicles, Tommy got another visit. Same 2 men. They gave him $5,000 cash and a list of auto shops to recommend if anyone came asking questions. Shops that were in on it, I guess. $5,000 to stay quiet about a girl's death. I feel sick. Pete, would you be willing to talk to the police about this? There's a detective who still works cold cases. Miss Hamilton, he interrupts gently, I'm 74 years old with grandkids in this town. Those men you're talking about. They've still got power, still got connections. I've told you what I know, but I can't do more than that. He slides the receipt across the table to me. But maybe you can. I drive home with Tommy Murphy's receipt burning a hole in my pocket, my mind racing with the implications of what Pete told me. Dad and Uncle Frank didn't just help cover up Michael's crime, they had a whole network ready to go. How many other people in this town know the truth and have been paid to stay quiet? When I get home, the house is empty except for a note on the kitchen counter, gone to help Emma with wedding favors. Leftovers in fridge. Love, Mom. Perfect. I need time to process this without pretending everything is normal. I spread everything out on my bedroom floor like some deranged detective, the original newspaper clipping, the auto shop receipt from Grandma's shoebox, Tommy Murphy's handwritten receipt, screenshots of Sarah's memorial page, and the police report I found online. 23 years of lies, laid out in chronological order. My phone buzzes with a text from my college roommate Jess. How's winter break going? Family driving you crazy yet? Face with tears of joy. I stare at the message for a long time before typing back, something like that. How do I explain that I've discovered my perfect family is built on a foundation of manslaughter and witness tampering? That my parents have been lying to my face my entire life? That every family dinner, every holiday, every proud moment of Michael's achievements has been tainted by the knowledge that he killed someone and got away with it? I pull up Sarah Chen's Berkeley acceptance letter again, the one her sister posted years ago. Full scholarship to study engineering. I do the math, she'd be 40 now, maybe with kids of her own, maybe designing bridges or working for NASA. Instead, she's been dead longer than she was alive. The front door opens downstairs, followed by my parents' voices. I quickly shove everything under my mattress except my laptop, which I position to look like I'm studying. Honey, we're home. Mom calls. How was your day? Fine, I call back. Just working on my senior thesis. But a few minutes later, Dad appears in my doorway. He never just shows up in my room, Mom handles most of the parental check-ins. Seeing him here, knowing what I now know about that night in August 1999, makes my skin crawl. Your mom's worried about you, he says, leaning against the doorframe. You seemed upset at dinner yesterday. Just stressed about school. I don't look up from my laptop screen. You know, senior year can be overwhelming. All those big decisions about the future. His voice has an odd quality to it, like he's choosing each word carefully. Sometimes it helps to focus on what's really important. Family. Loyalty. Not getting distracted by things that don't matter anymore. Things that don't matter anymore. Like Sarah Chen, I guess. I'm fine, Dad. Really. Good. Because Michael's wedding is going to be such a special day for our family. Emma's father has been so generous with the arrangements, the mayor really pulled out all the stops. It would be a shame if anything disrupted such a happy occasion. There's definitely a warning in his tone now. He knows I found something. Maybe Michael told him about our text exchange, or maybe parents just have a sixth sense when their kids discover family secrets. Of course, I manage. Wouldn't want to ruin Michael's big day. That's my girl. Dad smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Oh, and honey. Your mom mentioned you were looking through boxes in Grandma's attic yesterday. She asked me to clean out some of that old junk, no point keeping things that just take up space. I'll probably make a trip to the dump this weekend. The dump. He's going to destroy the evidence, and he's telling me exactly what he's doing and why. Makes sense, I say, proud of how steady my voice sounds. Grandma did save everything. After he leaves, I sit there shaking for 10 minutes straight. Then I text Pete, whose number I got at the diner. My dad is planning to destroy evidence this weekend. Is there anything else at Murphy's building? Anything Tommy might have hidden? His response comes an hour later. Check the office basement. Loose brick behind the water heater. Tommy was paranoid about keeping records. I look up the current property owner online, some LLC that's probably waiting for the land value to go up before developing. The building has been abandoned for years, which means breaking and entering. Which means if I get caught, I'll have bigger problems than family drama. But if there are more records hidden in that basement, they're the only thing standing between Sarah Chen and permanent injustice. I check the weather forecast. Rain tomorrow night, which means fewer people around. I'll need a flashlight, something to pry bricks with, and a story in case anyone asks why I'm not home. Most importantly, I need to decide what I'm really prepared to do with whatever I find. The abandoned Murphy's auto shop looks even more ominous at night. Rain patters against my windshield as I sit across the street at 11 p.m., a crowbar and heavy-duty flashlight in my passenger seat. I've told my parents I'm staying overnight at my friend Katie's to work on our group project, a lie that came surprisingly easily. The building's back entrance is protected by a chain-link fence, but years of weather have loosened one of the posts enough that I can squeeze through. My heart hammers against my ribs as I pick my way across the debris-strewn lot. If Pete is wrong about the basement records, I'm risking arrest for nothing. The back door's lock gave up fighting the elements years ago. Inside, my flashlight beam cuts through absolute darkness, revealing the skeleton of Tommy Murphy's operation. Rusted equipment, oil stains like blood spatters across the concrete, and in the corner, a narrow staircase leading down. The basement smells like mold and motor oil. I find the water heater exactly where Pete said it would be, a hulking metal cylinder in the far corner, surrounded by a spider web of pipes. Behind it, the brick wall looks solid until I run my fingers along the motor lines. One section crumbles at my touch. It takes 20 minutes of careful prying with a crowbar, but eventually 3 bricks slide free, revealing a hidden cavity. My flashlight illuminates a metal box wrapped in several layers of plastic garbage bags. Inside the box, a manila folder labeled Insurance Jobs 1999 in Tommy Murphy's handwriting. My hands shake as I flip through the contents. Tommy kept meticulous records of every off-the-books repair job he did that year. Most are mundane, fender benders paid for in cash to avoid premium increases, minor accidents where both parties wanted to skip the insurance hassle. But tucked in the back, I find a separate folder labeled H, Family. The H stands for Hamilton. Inside are photocopies of everything, the original work order, time-stamped photos of Michael's Honda before and after repairs, even a recording device receipt dated August 16, 1999. Tommy Murphy recorded his conversations with my father and Uncle Frank. At the bottom of the folder is a handwritten note: if something happens to me, give this to Detective Morrison. These people are dangerous, but the Chen family deserves justice. T. Murphy, March 2003 inch. Tommy Murphy tried to do the right thing 20 years ago. He just died before he could follow through. But the photographs are what make me sink to my knees on that filthy basement floor. High-quality Polaroids showing the Honda's damage from every angle. The front bumper isn't just dented, it's completely caved in, with fabric fibers embedded in the cracked plastic. The windshield has a spider web pattern that matches exactly where a human body would have impacted. There's no question this car killed Sarah Chen. More damning are the photos of the interior. The passenger seat is covered in manila envelopes, payoff money, I realize. But what catches my attention is a graduation tassel hanging from the rearview mirror. Blue and gold. Our high school colors. Michael had just graduated in June 1999. This photo was taken less than 2 months later, with Sarah Chen's blood still microscopic evidence on his car. I'm photographing everything with my phone when I hear footsteps upstairs. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. Flashlight beams dance across the basement ceiling as voices carry down from above. Told you someone was sniffing around Murphy's place. Lights were spotted in the building tonight. My blood turns to ice water. I recognize that voice. Uncle Frank. Could be kids, another voice responds. Dad. Or homeless people. Don't matter. We need to make sure there's nothing left down there. Should have torched this place years ago. I kill my flashlight and press myself against the water heater, clutching Tommy Murphy's evidence box to my chest. They're coming down here. There's no other exit, nowhere to hide. The footsteps start down the stairs. Bring the gas can, Uncle Frank's voice echoes off the concrete walls. Time to finish what we started. They're going to burn down the building. With me inside. I have maybe 30 seconds before they reach the basement. My mind races through impossible options. There's no back exit, no windows, nowhere to run. The water heater isn't big enough to hide behind, and the stairs are the only way out. Then I remember the recording device receipt in Tommy Murphy's folder. If he was paranoid enough to hide physical evidence, maybe he hid the actual recordings too. I frantically run my hands along the pipes behind the water heater, searching for anything else Tommy might have stashed. My fingers find a small metal box duct taped to the underside of a pipe, just as the footsteps reach the bottom of the stairs. Jesus, Frank, this place is a death trap, Dad's voice carries across the basement. One spark and the whole block goes up. That's the point. Insurance, fire, electrical problems, whatever. Just needs to look accidental. I slip the small box into my jacket pocket next to Tommy's folder and make a desperate decision. Instead of hiding, I'm going to bluff my way out of this. I flip my flashlight back on and call out, hello. Is someone there? The footsteps stop immediately. Urgent whispers I can't make out. I emerge from behind the water heater, playing confused and innocent. Oh my God, Uncle Frank. Dad. What are you guys doing here? They're standing at the bottom of the stairs like deer in headlights. Dad has a red gas can in one hand, Uncle Frank is holding a heavy-duty flashlight. Behind them, I can see a third figure, someone I don't recognize, a younger guy in work clothes. Sweetheart, Dad says carefully, what are you doing in this place? It's dangerous. Katie's car broke down near here, I lie smoothly. We saw lights and thought maybe someone could help, but then I got separated from her in the dark. I was trying to find another way out when I heard voices. Uncle Frank studies me with suspicious eyes. He's always been the sharper of the two brothers, the one who notices details. This building's been condemned for years. Nobody should be in here. I know, I'm sorry. I just got scared and confused. I gesture around the basement. What are you guys doing here? This seems really dangerous. Insurance assessment, Dad says quickly. Frank's company is looking into some liability issues with the property. It's a terrible lie, Uncle Frank retired from insurance work 5 years ago, and since when do insurance assessments happen at midnight with gas cans? But I nod like it makes perfect sense. Oh, okay. Can you guys give me a ride home? Katie must have given up looking for me. The three men exchange glances. Some kind of silent communication passes between them. The stranger shifts his weight, and I notice he's wearing gloves despite the mild weather. Of course, honey, Dad says finally. Let's all get out of here. As we head up the stairs, I catch Uncle Frank whispering to the stranger, we'll come back tomorrow night. Clean up everything. Outside, Dad insists on driving me home personally while Uncle Frank and his friends stay behind to secure the building. I clutch my jacket pocket, feeling Tommy Murphy's evidence pressing against my ribs. So Katie just left you there? Dad asks as we drive through empty streets. She probably went to find better cell service to call for help, I say. You know how spotty coverage is in that industrial area. Dad's hands tighten on the steering wheel. Honey, I want you to stay away from that part of town. Lots of vagrants and drug activity. It's not safe for a young woman alone. Of course, Dad. But when I get home and finally examine what I found behind that water heater, I realize nowhere is safe anymore. The small metal box contains 3 cassette tapes, each labeled with dates from August 1999. The first one is marked August 15, 99, 3:17 a.m., Hamilton conversation. I don't have a cassette player, but I know where to find one. Grandma's old boom box is still in her bedroom upstairs. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on Grandma's bed with headphones on, listening to my father's voice from 23 years ago. Tommy, I need you to understand how serious this is. My son's entire future is at stake here. Dar. Hamilton, I get it, but this is a police matter. That girl is dead. Nothing we do can change that. But Michael is alive, and he has his whole life ahead of him. There's a pause, then Uncle Frank's voice, we're not asking you to lie to the police, Tommy. We're asking you to not volunteer information. There's a difference. What about the insurance claim? I'll handle the insurance, Uncle Frank says. Storm damage, like we discussed. The payout will cover your work plus a substantial bonus for your discretion. And if someone asks questions? Nobody's going to ask questions, Dad's voice again, colder now. Because nobody's going to know this conversation ever happened. The recording continues for another 10 minutes. They discuss payment schedules, story coordination, and what Uncle Frank calls mutual insurance, making sure Tommy Murphy understands that he's now complicit in their cover-up. But it's the end of the conversation that makes my hands shake. One more thing, Tommy. My brother mentioned you have a grandson who plays Little League. Yeah, Joey. He's 8. Cute age. Be a real shame if something happened to disrupt his childhood. Kids are so vulnerable, you know. The threat is crystal clear. Stay quiet, or your grandson pays the price. I sit in Grandma's bedroom until sunrise, listening to all 3 tapes. 23 years later, I finally understand the full scope of what my family did to Sarah Chen and everyone who might have sought justice for her. And in 12 days, I have to decide whether Michael's wedding reception is where it all finally comes to light. I spend the next 3 days in a paranoid haze, jumping every time my phone buzzes, analyzing every family interaction for hidden meanings. The cassette tapes are hidden in my dorm room back at college. I drove the 2 hours there and back just to stash them in my locked desk drawer. But Tommy Murphy's photographs are burned into my memory, Michael's Honda with fabric embedded in a cracked bumper, the graduation tassel hanging innocently from the rearview mirror. Wednesday night, Michael calls me directly. Hey, want to grab dinner tomorrow? Just the 2 of us. His voice sounds casual, but Michael never asks for one-on-one time with me. There's this new place downtown I've been wanting to try. Every instinct screams that this is a trap, but I can't think of a good reason to refuse. Sure, sounds good. Great. 7 o'clock at Russo's Bistro. And bring an appetite, I hear their portions are huge. After we hang up, I realize he chose a restaurant across town from Murphy's auto shop. Somewhere public, but not too public. Somewhere we can talk without being overheard. I spend Thursday afternoon researching everything I can about the Chin family. Sarah's younger sister Jennifer runs a non-profit now, advocating for hit-and-run victims' families. She gives interviews every few years about the importance of accountability, about how the lack of closure destroyed her parents' marriage and her mother's health. In one article from last year, Jennifer says something that haunts me. People think 23 years is a long time, that we should move on. But every day someone gets away with killing my sister is another day the justice system fails. Sarah deserves better. Our family deserves better. She's right. They do deserve better. At Russo's Bistro, Michael is already waiting when I arrive, looking perfectly put together in his expensive button-down and khakis. He hugs me like everything is normal, orders wine like we're celebrating something. So, he says after the waiter leaves, big brother intuition is telling me something's bothering you. Want to talk about it? I study his face, the same features I share, the same green eyes as mom, the same stubborn chin as dad. This is the brother who taught me to ride a bike, who let me tag along to movies when his friends complained I was too young. But now all I can see is the 19-year-old who drove away from Sarah Chen's broken body and never looked back. Just senior year stress, I say. You know how it is. Actually, I've been thinking about that summer before my freshman year at Stanford. 1999, do you remember much from when you were little? My heart pounds, but I keep my expression neutral. Not really. I was only 6. Right, 6. Too young to understand adult problems. He takes a sip of wine. That was a complicated time for our family. Dad was dealing with some business issues, Uncle Frank had that health scare. Lots of grown-up drama you wouldn't have picked up on. Business issues. Health scare. Creative euphemisms for covering up vehicular manslaughter. I do remember you getting a new car that fall, I say carefully. Didn't your Honda get damaged in a storm? Michael's hand freezes halfway to his wine glass. For just a second, his mask slips, and I see something raw and desperate in his eyes. Yeah, he says slowly. Bad storm. Tree branch came down right on the hood. Total freak accident. That's so unlucky. Good thing you weren't hurt. Yeah. He's watching me intently now. Good thing. The waiter brings our appetizers, giving us both a moment to regroup. But when he leaves, Michael leans forward across the table. You know what I love about our family, he says quietly. We protect each other. When one of us faces a problem, we all face it together. That loyalty is rare these days. Absolutely, I agree, though my mouth tastes like copper. Emma's family is different. Her dad's the mayor, you know. Very focused on public image, political reputation. He's been very clear that any scandals could damage his career, and by extension, Emma's future. Michael's voice drops even lower. I'd hate for some old misunderstanding to cause problems for people I love. There it is. The threat wrapped in concern for others. Of course, I say. Wouldn't want to cause problems. Exactly. Because sometimes the past should stay in the past, you know. Especially when bringing it up would just hurt innocent people without actually helping anyone. Innocent people. Like Emma, like Mayor Patterson, like Michael himself. Not like Sarah Chen, apparently. Michael relaxes, thinking he successfully warned me off. He orders another bottle of wine and starts talking about honeymoon plans, about the house he and Emma are buying, about his promotion prospects at the engineering firm. Everything Sarah Chen will never have. As I listen to him plan his perfect future, I make a decision that terrifies me. I'm done being complicit. The wedding is in 9 days, and if my family wants to destroy evidence and threaten witnesses, fine. But they can't destroy what I've already found. Tomorrow, I'm calling Detective Morrison. I dial Detective Morrison's number 3 times Friday morning before I finally let it ring through. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold the phone. Morrison, a gruff voice answers. Detective Morrison. My name is, this is about the Sarah Chen case from 1999. The words tumble out before I lose my nerve. There's a pause. I remember that case. What kind of information do you have? I found evidence. Physical evidence about who killed her. I take a deep breath. It was my brother. My family covered it up. Another pause, longer this time. Miss, I'm going to need you to come in and make a formal statement. Are you somewhere safe right now? I think so. But detective, there's something else. My family destroyed most of the evidence, but I found backup records hidden by the mechanic who fixed the car. Tommy Murphy. He's dead now, but... Tommy Murphy. Morrison's voice sharpens. We talked to him during the original investigation. He claimed he didn't work on any damaged vehicles that week. He lied. My father and uncle paid him to lie. But he kept records and recordings. I have everything. Jesus Christ. I hear papers rustling. Can you come in this afternoon? 2 o'clock. Yes, but detective. My brother's getting married next weekend. The mayor's daughter. If this comes out. Miss, if you have evidence in a vehicular homicide, the timing of a wedding is not my primary concern. I'll see you at 2. He hangs up, leaving me staring at my phone. There's no going back now. I'm about to leave for the police station when my phone buzzes with a text from Mom, emergency family meeting at 4 p.m. Something important about Michael's wedding. Don't be late. 4 p.m. 2 hours after my appointment with Detective Morrison. The timing can't be coincidental. At the police station, Detective Morrison looks exactly like I imagined, weathered face, tired eyes, the demeanor of someone who's seen too much. He listens without interruption as I lay out everything, the newspaper clipping, the auto shop receipts, Pete's testimony, and finally, the cassette recordings. You've been busy, he says when I finish. And potentially put yourself in danger. Your family doesn't know you have this evidence. I don't think so. But they suspect something. Morrison studies the photographs I printed from Tommy Murphy's collection. His jaw tightens when he sees the fabric embedded in a Honda's bumper. This is exactly the kind of evidence we needed 23 years ago, he says. Fiber analysis, paint samples, we could have closed this case in a week with this kind of cooperation. What happens now? Now I reopen an active investigation. I'll need those original cassette tapes, and I'll need you to make a formal sworn statement. He meets my eyes. But I have to warn you, this is going to destroy your family. Your father and uncle will face charges for obstruction of justice, witness tampering, possibly accessory after the fact. Your brother will be charged with vehicular manslaughter at minimum. What about statute of limitations? No statute of limitations on vehicular homicide in this state. And the cover-up conspiracy? That continued every day they stayed silent. Morrison leans back in his chair. You sure you want to go through with this? I think about Sarah Chen's last social media post, excited about sleeping in the next morning. I think about Linda Chen posting memorial messages for 23 years before dying without answers. I'm sure. Good. Go get those tapes from your dorm, bring them back Monday morning. And Miss Hamilton, be very careful this weekend. People who've kept a secret this long won't hesitate to protect it. I'm driving home from the police station when I realize what the 4 p.m. family meeting is really about. They know I talked to Detective Morrison. Somehow, they already know. The family meeting is already in progress when I walk into our living room at 4:15 p.m. Everyone's there, Mom and Dad on the couch, Uncle Frank in Dad's recliner, and Michael pacing by the window like a caged animal. The coffee table is covered with legal documents I don't recognize. There she is, Uncle Frank says without looking up from the papers. Close the door behind you, sweetheart. I do as he asks, my heart hammering against my ribs. Detective Morrison's business card feels like it's burning through my wallet. Sit down, honey, Mom says, patting the couch cushion beside her. Her smile is strained, the kind she uses when she's trying not to cry at family funerals. What's going on? I ask, though I already know this is about Sarah Chen. About Tommy Murphy. About everything I've discovered. Dad clears his throat. We need to discuss some family business before Michael's wedding. Some old concerns that have recently come to light. Concerns? Michael stops pacing and turns to face me. His eyes are red-rimmed, like he hasn't slept. Someone's been asking questions around town. About that summer in 1999. About Murphy's auto shop. My mouth goes dry, but I force myself to look confused. What kind of questions? The kind that could ruin lives, Uncle Frank says sharply. Pete Kowalski got a visit from someone yesterday. Young woman, claimed she was investigating the Sarah Chin case. Funny thing is, Pete called me right after she left. Pete called Uncle Frank. Of course he did. In a town this small, everyone knows everyone, and Uncle Frank has had 23 years to build his network of silence. I don't understand what this has to do with Michael's wedding, I say. Don't you? Dad's voice is colder than I've ever heard it. Someone broke into Murphy's building 2 nights ago. Someone who knew exactly where to look for things that should have been destroyed years ago. They know. They know everything. David, Mom says quietly, she's our daughter. She's also the only person who's been asking the right questions in the right places, Uncle Frank replies. He finally looks at me directly. Your phone records show a call to Detective Morrison this morning at 9:47 a.m. Lasted 14 minutes. My blood turns to ice. They've been monitoring my phone. What exactly did you tell Morrison? Michael asks. His voice cracks slightly on the detective's name. I could lie. I could claim I was calling about something else, buy myself time, maybe even get out of this room safely. But looking at their faces, the guilt, the fear, the desperation, I realize I'm done pretending. I told him the truth, I say quietly. About the Honda. About Tommy Murphy. About what really happened to Sarah Chen. The silence that follows is deafening. Mom makes a small, wounded sound. Dad drops his head into his hands. Michael sinks into the armchair like his legs won't hold him anymore. Jesus Christ, Uncle Frank whispers. Do you have any idea what you've done? I've done what should have been done 23 years ago. You've destroyed our family, Dad says without looking up. Michael's career, his marriage, our reputation, all of it gone because you couldn't leave well enough alone. Sarah Chen's family was destroyed too, I snap back. Her mother died without ever knowing what happened to her daughter. But I guess that doesn't matter as much as Michael's reputation. Sarah Chen was already dead, Uncle Frank says harshly. Nothing we did or didn't do was going to change that. But Michael was alive, with his whole future ahead of him. So was Sarah. The words hang in the air like an accusation. Finally, Mom speaks up, her voice barely above a whisper. What did Morrison say? What happens next? He's reopening the investigation. I'm supposed to bring him the cassette tapes on Monday. What cassette tapes? Michael's head snaps up. Uncle Frank's face goes ashen. Tommy recorded us. That paranoid son of a bitch actually recorded our conversations. How many tapes? Dad's voice is barely controlled. 3, I answer, watching Uncle Frank's face cycle through panic and rage. Everything from that night. The threats, the payoffs, the cover-up plan. Michael stands up abruptly, knocking over his water glass. Where are they? The tapes? Somewhere safe. That's not an answer, Uncle Frank snarls. Your dorm room. Your car. Here in the house. I don't respond, which seems to be answer enough. Uncle Frank pulls out his phone and starts dialing. Frank, what are you doing? Mom asks. Calling Eddie Morrison, he says, phone pressed to his ear. Detective Morrison's younger brother. He owes me some favors from the insurance days. My stomach drops. Even now, they're working their network, trying to control the narrative. Eddie. It's Frank Hamilton. Listen, your brother David might be getting some bad information about an old case. Uncle Frank walks into the kitchen, lowering his voice. Michael, Dad says quietly, you need to call Emma. Call her father. Explain the situation before they hear it from someone else. Explain what exactly. Michael's voice is rising. That I killed someone and you helped me cover it up. That my wedding is going to turn into a media circus. That the mayor's about to find out his daughter is marrying a murderer. It was an accident, Mom says desperately. You were 19, it was dark, she was wearing black clothes. She was walking on the sidewalk, Mom. The words come out before I can stop them. I read the police report. The impact threw her 30 feet from the crosswalk. Michael's face crumples. You think I don't know that? You think I don't see her face every time I close my eyes? But she's dead, okay? She's been dead for 23 years, and destroying my life won't bring her back. No, but it might give her family some peace. What about our family? Dad stands up, his face flushed with anger. What about the peace we've built? Your mother's heart condition, my practice, Uncle Frank's reputation, none of that matters to you? I stare at him in disbelief. Mom's heart condition. The stress of this coming out could literally kill her, Dad continues. Is that what you want? To be responsible for your mother's death too? David, don't, Mom says weakly, but she does look pale, her hand pressed to her chest. Uncle Frank returns from the kitchen, his expression grim. Eddie's going to try to slow things down, but Morrison's already filed paperwork to reopen the case. We have maybe 48 hours before this becomes official. 48 hours to do what? I ask. To fix this, Uncle Frank says. Tommy Murphy's evidence has been sitting in that building for 20 years. Could have been contaminated, compromised. Maybe it disappears entirely before Morrison can collect it. I already gave him copies of everything. Copies can be disputed. Chain of custody questions. A good lawyer could argue the evidence was planted, fabricated. Uncle Frank is thinking out loud now, his insurance background showing. But we need those original tapes to disappear permanently. Michael suddenly looks up from his hands. The wedding's in 8 days. Emma's father has invited half the state government. If this comes out during wedding week. It won't, Uncle Frank says firmly. Because we're going to handle this as a family. Like we should have done from the beginning. What does that mean? Uncle Frank looks directly at me. It means you're going to call Morrison back. Tell him you made a mistake, got confused, found some old paperwork that didn't mean what you thought. It means those tapes are going to disappear, and this investigation dies before it starts. And if I don't? Then you'll be responsible for destroying everyone you claim to love, Dad says quietly. Michael's life, Emma's family, your mother's health, my career. All of it gone because you couldn't accept that sometimes justice isn't worth the cost. The room falls silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. 8 days until the wedding. 48 hours until the investigation becomes official. 23 years of lies finally catching up with all of us. I need time to think, I say finally. You have until tomorrow morning, Uncle Frank replies. Morrison expects those tapes Monday. That gives us the weekend to make this go away permanently. As I stand to leave, Mom grabs my hand. Please, sweetheart. Think about what matters most. Family has to come first. But walking up to my room, all I can think about is Sarah Chen's father grieving alone, and whether family loyalty is worth more than a dead girl's justice. I'm staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. Saturday morning, my phone buzzing with messages I don't want to read. The family ultimatum deadline is in 6 hours, and I still don't know what I'm going to tell Uncle Frank. Every time I close my eyes, I see Sarah Chen's yearbook photo next to Michael's wedding invitation, like some twisted before and after comparison. My phone lights up again. This time it's not family, it's an unknown number. Is this the person who contacted Detective Morrison about Sarah Chen? My hands shake as I type back, who is this? Jennifer Chen. Sarah's sister. Detective Morrison gave me your number. Said you found new evidence about my sister's case. Jennifer Chen. The non-profit advocate, Sarah's younger sister who was only 14 when her world fell apart. I've read dozens of her interviews over the past week, but seeing her name in my messages makes everything feel devastatingly real. Yes, I type. I'm so sorry for your loss. Can we meet today? I need to understand what you found. My father, he's not well. This might be our last chance for answers before. She doesn't finish the sentence, but I understand. Sarah's father is dying too, just like her mother did, without justice, without closure, without anyone paying for what happened to their daughter. Of course. Where? Lakeside Park, 10 a.m. I'll be by the memorial bench near the playground. After she sends directions, I lie awake for 3 more hours thinking about what meeting Jennifer means. If I tell her everything, there's no going back. But if I follow my family's plan and make this disappear, I'll be lying to a grieving sister's face. At 9:45 a.m., I'm sitting in my car outside Lakeside Park, watching a woman in her late 30s arrange flowers by a wooden bench. She has Sarah's delicate features and the same thick black hair, but there's a hardness around her eyes that speaks to 23 years of unanswered questions. You must be Hamilton, she says when I approach. No handshake, no pleasantries. You look nervous. I am nervous. What I found, it's going to be hard to hear. Jennifer sits on the memorial bench, dedicated to children lost too soon, and gestures for me to join her. I've been waiting 23 years for hard-to-hear information. Try me. So I tell her everything. The newspaper clipping in Grandma's attic, the auto shop receipts, Pete's testimony about seeing my father that night, Tommy Murphy's hidden recordings. I show her the photographs on my phone, Michael's destroyed Honda, the fabric embedded in the bumper, the graduation tassel hanging from the rearview mirror. Jennifer listens without interruption, but I watch her hands gradually clench into fists. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. Your brother, she finally says. Michael Hamilton. I know that name. My stomach drops. You do. He spoke at Sarah's memorial service. Some bullshit about how the whole senior class was devastated, how everyone would miss her bright spirit. Jennifer's voice is eerily calm. I remember thinking it was weird that he volunteered to speak, since they weren't friends. But the guidance counselor said it showed real character. Michael spoke at Sarah's memorial service. 6 days after killing her, while Tommy Murphy was repairing his car, my brother stood in front of her family and pretended to mourn. There's more, I say, though my voice is barely working. The recordings have my father threatening the mechanic's grandson. And my uncle worked insurance. He knew exactly how to make the damage look like storm damage instead of a collision. Jennifer pulls out her phone and starts recording. I want you to repeat everything you just told me. For the record. Jennifer, I should mention, my family knows I talked to Detective Morrison. They're trying to make this go away before Monday. How? They want me to recant everything. Tell Morrison I was confused, that the evidence doesn't mean what I thought. I take a shaky breath. And they're planning to destroy the original tapes this weekend. Jennifer stops recording. Where are the tapes now? Hidden at my college. But my uncle has connections everywhere. Morrison's own brother is apparently helping them delay the investigation. Jesus Christ. Jennifer stands up abruptly, pacing in front of the memorial bench. 23 years, and the system is still protecting them. I'm supposed to call my uncle in 2 hours with my decision. If I don't cooperate, they'll claim the evidence was fabricated. And if you do cooperate, then Sarah's case gets buried forever, and my brother gets married next weekend like none of this ever happened. Jennifer sits back down, pulling out her phone. What's your uncle's full name? And your father's? I give her the information, watching her type rapidly. What are you doing? Calling in favors. I've spent 15 years building relationships with journalists, victim advocates, federal investigators. Your family might own this town, but they don't own everyone. She looks up from her phone. How many people are invited to your brother's wedding? Around 200. Including the mayor, half the town council, lots of Stanford alumni. Why? Because sometimes justice happens in courtrooms, and sometimes it happens in the court of public opinion. Jennifer's expression is fierce now. Your family wants to make this disappear quietly. Fine. But they can't control what happens if this story goes viral during the social event of the year. My phone buzzes. Uncle Frank, 1 hour until deadline. Hope you're making the right choice for everyone involved. I show Jennifer the message. She screenshots it immediately. Evidence of intimidation, she says. This gets better and better. Jennifer, if this comes out at the wedding, it'll destroy innocent people too. Michael's fiancée, her family. Innocent people. Jennifer's voice cuts like glass. My sister was innocent. She was walking home from work, following every traffic law, doing absolutely nothing wrong. But somehow your family's comfort matters more than her life. She's right, but the weight of what's coming still terrifies me. In 7 days, Michael's wedding will either be the celebration of the year or the scandal that brings down multiple prominent families. I need to get those tapes before my family destroys them, I say. Then let's go get them. Right now. As we walk toward our cars, Jennifer turns back to me. One more thing. When this story breaks, and it will break, are you prepared for what happens next? Because there's no going back once we cross this line. I think about Sarah Chen's last social media post, about Linda Chen dying without answers, about Michael practicing his wedding vows while a dead girl's family suffers in silence. I've been crossing lines all week, I tell her. Might as well cross the biggest one. The drive to my college takes 90 minutes, but Jennifer insists on following me in her own car. If your family is monitoring your movements, we need backup plans, she explains. She's right to be paranoid. I've gotten 3 more texts from Uncle Frank in the past hour, each one more insistent about my deadline. At my dorm, I'm fumbling with my key card when Jennifer grabs my arm. Wait. Is that normal? She points to the maintenance cart outside my building, where 2 men in coveralls are working on the lock mechanism of the main entrance. I've never seen maintenance here on Saturdays, I say, my blood running cold. The men look up as we approach, and I recognize one of them, the younger guy who was with Dad and Uncle Frank at Murphy's auto shop. Shit, I whisper. They're already here. Jennifer immediately starts recording with her phone as we duck behind a parked car. How did they know where to look? My phone. They've been tracking everything. I watch the fake maintenance workers finish with the door lock and head inside. They're going to search my room. Can you get in through another entrance? Fire door on the east side, but it's alarmed. I rack my brain for alternatives. Unless Jenny Kowalski lives on my floor. Her window faces the courtyard, and she always leaves it unlocked. We circle around to the back of the building, where a trellis leads up to the second-floor windows. It's not exactly a covert operation, but desperation makes people creative. Jenny's window slides open easily, thank God for college students who never think about security. Her room is empty, probably home for the weekend. I crack open her door and peer into the hallway. The fake maintenance workers are 3 doors down from my room, using some kind of electronic device on another lock. Professional equipment, Jennifer whispers behind me. Your family doesn't mess around. We wait 20 minutes before they finally leave my floor. I slip into my room to find it's been professionally searched, nothing obviously disturbed, but I can tell someone went through everything methodically. My desk drawers are slightly askew, my bookshelf books aren't quite aligned the way I left them. But the cassette tapes are exactly where I hid them, taped inside my mini fridge behind the frozen dinner boxes. Apparently Uncle Frank's hired help didn't expect a college student to be that paranoid. Got them, I whisper, showing Jennifer the 3 tapes labeled in Tommy Murphy's handwriting. Good. Now we get out of here before they realize the building has other entrances. We're climbing back out Jenny's window when my phone rings. Uncle Frank. Answer it, Jennifer mouths. Act normal. Hi Uncle Frank. Where are you right now? His voice is tighter than usual. Driving around, thinking about everything we discussed. Technically not a lie, I was driving an hour ago. Time's up, sweetheart. I need an answer. Are you going to call Morrison and fix this, or do we have a bigger problem? I look at Jennifer, who's already texting someone rapidly while we climb down the trellis. She shows me her screen, story going live in 3 hours with or without family cooperation. Local reporter owes me big favor. Your choice how ugly this gets. I need more time, I tell Uncle Frank. You don't have more time. Morrison's expecting those tapes Monday morning, and my contacts can only delay things for so long. His voice drops. Don't make us handle this the hard way. What does that mean? It means your college records show a history of depression and anxiety medication. It means people might wonder if you're having some kind of breakdown, making up stories for attention. It means those tapes could disappear entirely, and no one would believe a mentally unstable girl's claims about doctored evidence. The threat is crystal clear. They'll destroy my credibility and the evidence simultaneously, painting me as an unreliable narrator having a psychological crisis. I understand, I say quietly. Good. Call Morrison in 1 hour. Tell him you made a mistake. Uncle Frank hangs up. Jennifer has finished her texts. Change of plans. We're not waiting until Monday. I've got a journalist friend who specializes in cold cases. She can have this story online tonight with full audio and photo evidence. But the wedding isn't until next Saturday. Exactly. Gives it a full week to spread through social media before your brother walks down that aisle. Jennifer's smile is sharp. By Saturday, everyone in that church will know exactly who they're celebrating. My phone buzzes with a text from Michael. Please don't destroy our family. Emma doesn't deserve this. He's right, Emma doesn't deserve this. But Sarachin didn't deserve to die either, and somehow that seems more important than protecting my brother's fiancée from embarrassment. Let's do it, I tell Jennifer. Let's burn it all down. The story goes live at 9:47 p.m. Saturday night. I'm sitting in Jennifer Chen's living room, watching the page views climb on her journalist friend's website. Local family covered up fatal hit and run for 23 years, spreads across social media faster than I expected. The audio clips from Tommy Murphy's recordings are embedded right in the article, my father's voice crystal clear, that girl is dead. Nothing we do can change that. But Michael has his whole life ahead of him. By 10:15 p.m., my phone is buzzing non-stop. Missed calls from Mom, Dad, Uncle Frank, Michael. Text messages that range from pleading to furious. I turn it off and hand it to Jennifer. No going back now, she says, refreshing the page again. 15,000 views and climbing. The comments section is exploding with outrage, shock, people sharing their own stories of injustice. My friend says the major networks are already calling. This is going national by Monday. I should feel victorious. Instead, I feel like I'm watching my family die in real time. Second thoughts. Jennifer asks, noting my expression. No. Just, processing. I stare at Sarah's photo embedded in the article, the same yearbook picture from the original newspaper clipping, but now paired with recent photos of Michael from his company's website. The contrast is devastating. She stayed 17 forever while he got to live, graduate, build a career, fall in love. My phone buzzes in Jennifer's hand. She glances at the screen. Emma Patterson. Your brother's fiancée. Answer it, I say. She deserves to hear this from me. Jennifer hands me the phone. Emma's voice is shaking when I pick up. Is it true? No hello, no accusation. Just a simple question from someone whose world just collapsed. Yes. A long pause. I can hear voices in the background, angry male voices that sound like her father and Michael. How long have you known? A week. I found evidence in my grandmother's attic and started investigating. A week. Her voice is hollow. I've been planning a wedding to a murderer for 18 months, and you've known for a week. Emma, My father is on the phone with the church right now, canceling everything. The deposits, the catering, the flowers. Do you know what it's like to call 200 people at 10 o'clock on Saturday night to uninvite them to your wedding? I don't know what to say. Sorry feels pathetic and inadequate. But you know what the worst part is? Emma continues. I actually respect you for doing this. Sarachin deserved better than being swept under the rug for my perfect wedding. The line goes quiet. In the background, I hear Mayor Patterson's voice rising. Political career is finished if this gets any bigger. I have to go, Emma says. My family is imploding, and Michael is. God, I don't even know who Michael is anymore. After she hangs up, Jennifer and I sit in silence watching the story spread. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, everywhere people are sharing the audio clips, analyzing the evidence, demanding justice. Hashtag Justice for Sarah starts trending around midnight. Your uncle's calling, Jennifer says, looking at my phone screen. Let it go to voicemail. But 10 minutes later, she's frowning at a new message. He says your mother collapsed. They're at St. Mary's Hospital, and you need to come immediately. My stomach drops. Dad's threat about Mom's heart condition echoes in my head. The stress of this coming out could literally kill her. It could be a lie, Jennifer says. A way to manipulate you into recanting. Or my mother could be dying because I destroyed our family on the internet. Jennifer pulls up the hospital's website, calls their main number. After being transferred twice, she hangs up with a grim expression. Margaret Hamilton was admitted to cardiac care at 11:23 p.m. The story has been live for 90 minutes, and my mother is already in the hospital. The weight of what I've unleashed suddenly feels crushing. I have to go, I say, grabbing my keys. Wait. If you show up there, your family will use your mother's condition to pressure you. Make you feel guilty for telling the truth. She's still my mother. And Sarah was still someone's daughter, Jennifer replies gently. But if you need to go, I understand. As I drive toward St. Mary's Hospital, my phone buzzes with a text from Detective Morrison. Saw the news story. Evidence looks solid. Can you come in Monday morning to make your official statement? Monday morning. 48 hours to get through my family's crisis, my mother's health scare, and Michael's destroyed wedding plans. And then the Real investigation begins. The cardiac care unit at St. Mary's Hospital smells like disinfectant and despair. I find my family clustered in the waiting room, Dad slumped in a plastic chair, Uncle Frank pacing by the windows, Michael staring at his phone with hollow eyes. They look up when I enter, and the mixture of relief and rage on their faces tells me everything I need to know. How is she? I ask. Stable, Dad says quietly. Panic attack triggered arrhythmia. They're monitoring her overnight. He meets my eyes for the first time. The doctor says stress was the primary factor. The guilt hits like a physical blow, but I force myself to stay standing. Can I see her? Room 314, Uncle Frank says. But first, we need to discuss damage control. The story's been shared 40,000 times in the past 3 hours. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. Frank, Dad warns. No, David. She needs to understand what she's done. Uncle Frank's face is flushed with anger. Mayor Patterson called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. Michael's firm is conducting an internal review. The church is refusing to host the wedding. And your mother is in cardiac care because her daughter chose revenge over family. I chose justice over covering up murder. You chose to destroy everything we've built for 23 years. Michael finally speaks, his voice cracking. Emma won't even look at me. Her father banned me from their house. My career is over. Your career was built on Sarah Chen's grave. The words hang in the air like a confession. Michael's face crumples, and for the first time since this began, I see genuine remorse instead of just self-preservation. You think I don't know that? He whispers. You think I haven't seen her face every day for 23 years? But she was already dead, and ruining my life wouldn't bring her back. No, but maybe her family can finally have peace. I leave them in the waiting room and take the elevator to the 3rd floor. Mom is awake when I enter room 314, connected to monitors that beep steadily. She looks older than I've ever seen her, fragile in a way that makes my chest tight. Hi sweetheart, she says softly. I'm sorry, I say, taking her hand. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. But you did hurt me. You hurt all of us. Her grip is weak but steady. That girl's family, they suffered for 23 years because we were selfish. Because we chose Michael over justice. I stare at her in shock. Mom. I've been carrying this guilt since 1999. Every Christmas, every birthday, every time we celebrated Michael's achievements, I thought about that girl's mother, wondering what happened to her daughter. Tears slide down Mom's cheeks. Maybe it's time for the truth. You're not angry. Oh, I'm furious. You've destroyed our family's reputation, possibly ended your father's career, definitely ruined Michael's wedding. She squeezes my hand. But I'm also proud of you. Someone in this family finally did the right thing. Monday morning comes faster than I wanted to. Detective Morrison's office is busier than before, federal investigators, district attorney representatives, even a victim's rights advocate Jennifer arranged. The cassette tapes play clearly through the conference room speakers, my father's voice laying out the conspiracy in devastating detail. Based on this evidence, the DA announces after reviewing everything, we're filing charges against Michael Hamilton for vehicular manslaughter, David Hamilton and Frank Hamilton for conspiracy to obstruct justice, and we're investigating Tommy Murphy's death for potential witness intimidation. 6 months later, I'm sitting in a courthouse watching my brother receive his sentence, 8 years for vehicular manslaughter, reduced from the maximum because he eventually pled guilty. Dad and Uncle Frank get 3 years each for the cover-up conspiracy. Mom's heart condition stabilized, and she's been attending grief counseling with Sarah Chen's father. The wedding never happened, obviously. Emma moved to Seattle and started over. Michael's engineering firm fired him, but he's been working with victim advocacy groups from jail, trying to find some redemption. As for me, I'm finishing my senior year with a new understanding of what family really means. Sometimes protecting the people you love means holding them accountable for the worst things they've done. After the sentencing hearing, I meet Jennifer Chen outside the courthouse. Sarah's father is with her, using a walker but determined to be present for this moment. Thank you, he says simply, shaking my hand. 23 years we waited. Now she can rest. Sometimes justice is worth the cost of everything else.